Hey guys, Jack on Wrist back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down the pros and cons of buying a Chinese watch. Now, if you watched my last couple of videos, you may have noticed that I did reviews of the Cadisen Royal Oak and the Starking AM0171, and now that I have some experience with these watches, I feel I'm able to now properly assess the process and the buying experience on the product of these Chinese brands. So without further ado, I'm just going to break down the pros and cons. It's a pretty casual video. I have my list here, and let's start off with pro number one, which is the value for money proposition. You know, you're going to get a lot of really good specifications on paper from these Chinese brands. When you're going to get sapphire crystals, solid links, solid end links, display case backs maybe, decent movements, all for under $50, $100, just a really reasonable price. Now, if you want to go out and buy a Seiko 5 for about $90, you're going to get an acrylic crystal, or rather the Hardlex Seiko crystal. You're going to probably get rolled links, a pretty crappy bracelet overall. It's a sort of a less than movement than the H35 that you can get on some of these other watches, and you're just not really getting good value for money there. I mean, there's so many on paper specifications you can get for just under, like I said, $50 or $100, whatever your budget may be. The specifications are amazing. So in terms of just the overall value for money, it's number one for these Chinese watches. The next pro is what I would like to call the G-Shock effect. It's sort of the idea that if you're going to buy something cheap and you bang it around or you mess it up, you can just simply never wear it again. I mean, you can buy a new one. So if you have your Star King or whatever and you mess it up and you break the crystal or the movement goes wonky, you can just buy a new one. It's only $50. I'm not trying to say $50 isn't a lot of money to some people, but it's enough. It's cheap enough to go ahead and just buy something new, like a G-Shock. If something were to happen to your G-Shock or to stop working, you just buy a new one. You don't really think too hard about it. And just with the value and then the overall low price, you can go ahead and do something like that. The final pro on my list is just the different styles you can try. There's so many different homages and from different brands that are available. Rolex Datejust, Rolex Submariner, Omega Aquaterra. I mean, I just reviewed my Cadisen Royal Oak. Obviously, that's a Royal Oak homage. You can really try a lot of different style and design cues from these bigger brands without spending a whole lot of money. I mean, you don't have to spend $5 on a Datejust to get the idea of what it might feel like. And then that way, if you want to, in the future, maybe get the real thing, you can go ahead and do that knowing that you truly like the style on your wrist. So let's talk cons. I'd say the number one con with buying a Chinese watch is just the no-name brand. I mean, we're talking about brands like Cadisen, Star King, Pagani Design. These are all brands that really, they don't have any real recognition in the world. I mean, obviously someone like myself, if I saw someone wearing a Star King, I'd probably mention it. I think that's kind of cool. But 99.99% of people are really not going to know what any of these brands are. They're just random brands. I mean, if you have a Rolex, Omega, or any of these really high-end brands, people will know, or a decent amount of people might know. But just these brands, they mean nothing to people. I mean, even Seiko, people know Seiko, but these brands don't mean anything to anybody. The next con is the shipping. When you buy from China, it's just going to take a while. I mean, that's just the process. It's a patience thing. You're going to have to wait, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks on average. When I bought my Cadisen Royal Oak, I think it took like a month and a half. I mean, it took a lot of time. It is what it is. You kind of just have to deal with it. I mean, I bought my Star King from Amazon, so if you can find it on a site like that, or maybe eBay, it's probably worth looking into so you can avoid the shipping. But a lot of these watches, or most of them, are going to come from AliExpress or websites like that, and you're just going to have to wait it out. A lot of advice that people give is just to buy it and forget about it, and that's the advice I would give everybody watching this video. If you're gonna buy it, just buy it, forget about it, and when you get it, it'll be a nice surprise. But I wouldn't count the days down, because you really just don't really know where it's at. If it's at your country, or if it's shipped yet. I mean, the communication is just not there, and that kind of just leads me into my last con, which is the communication is really bad. I mean, you have warranty cards that you're not gonna really ever use. If it's a bad watch or the movement isn't running good, it's not really gonna. There's nothing you can really do other than return it and then wait this whole process over again to get your new one. Communicating through AliExpress or websites like that, it's just going to be difficult. There's a language barrier, and the communication is just not good. So if you're inconvenienced by that, I would just not bother. So that's pretty much it for this video. I'm just going to quickly break down the pros and cons just to sum up. So pro number one is the value for money, the sapphire crystal, the solid links, etc., etc. These are things you cannot buy for the price point, and just the value for money proposition and on paper specifications, they really can't be beat. Number two is that you can bang it around, and if something were to go wrong, you can just buy a new one because it's in that low price bracket. And then number three is that you can try different styles, homages to the Royal Oak or the Submariner, whatever it is. You can try different things, and you don't have to pay the real price for these super high-end watches. Now moving on to the cons, number one is that they're no-name watches. the names don't really mean anything to anybody, and if you have a problem with that, it's really not for you. The shipping is going to take a while. We're talking a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it is. It's going to take a while, and you really kind of have to have a lot of patience with it. Number 3 is just the communication, going back and forth with sellers if there's an issue of some kind, and there are a lot of issues sometimes with the quality control. It's just difficult, and you just kind of have to get what you get. And like I said, it's just a communication problem between, with the language or whatever the case is. It's just really, really hard. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also, check out my Instagram @JackandRoyce for photos of all my watches. And finally, I'd like to hear what you have to say. Are Chinese watches something that you would never buy? Are you thinking about it? Have you done it before? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.